Welcome to JoeyBerry's Adepticon journey with me, Joey, and I'm going to do 4 separate videos about Adepticon and basically talk about my journey, my experience of America for the first time, and everything I got up to in a chronological fashion, so you can kind of see how the days panned out for me. There's obviously more footage on some days than others because I was either jet lagged or filming lots and doing interviews and stuff, but typically I've taken quite a lot of footage and pictures, and I'm just gonna tell my tale and add clips in, because the last kind of big event that I did was the UTC, which this is a very, very different event. This is not just a tournament but a convention, and there are lots of vendors, and there's loads of different aspects to Adepticon, and it is a tale to tell. So this is video 1, day 1 / the night before my leaving the journey. So here we go. The evening before is a Wednesday night, and a Wednesday is usually a pub night where I go and meet some friends and have a beverage and sort myself out and just hang out with people that I know, just in out of YouTube, just day-to-day Joey life. So Wednesday night I don't have a printer at my house, so what I do is I go to a friend's house and I print out my boarding pass, do the online check-in, print out the visa, the ESTA thing that you have to do when you go to America, and just bits and pieces like that. So I get there, I've never checked in online before, the last time I went abroad as an adult, I think I went with my mum and stuff like that. It was never that complicated. So I go to a friend's house and I try and check in online, and all it comes up with is system error. So I Google what the problem could be, and I'm faced with a news article that says that American Airlines, which is the airline that I am flying with, has had hundreds of cancellations and issues with their check-in service, not just online but in the airport. So the staff couldn't check you in, they had to cancel the flights, and that was predominantly in America. So fortunately I didn't hear anything about that over here, yet the system error terrified me, so I was just like, oh no, here we go. Then I'm talking to my friend Al about getting stuff sorted. Al is the guy that's directed the Malifaux Tales videos and is an old friend of mine. So he was like, it's fine, the flights are long, but it's okay. What about your travel insurance? You've got to print that out. And I'm like, what? I don't have any travel insurance? Of which I met with a, why? And then he's like, if anything happens, if you fall and break your leg or something, you need to have medical cover, you need to have travel insurance. So we go online, we print that out, and we print, I scan in photocopies and stuff of my IDs. I basically print out an entire booklet of stuff, including I print out the system error page to say I don't know why, just maybe as a memento of how much I panicked over this situation. So I print it out as well, and I've got my passport, my flight info and everything else, and travel documents all in this folder. So I'm freaking out, and then I hear the news about the weather. So I check my Twitter, and I've got the Bad Dice guys, I've got loads of people that have travelled, that are travelling, saying that Chicago is experiencing severe weather issues and flooding. And then my mother texts me saying there's tornado warnings in Chicago, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, I think I need to go to the pub. So I go, as I would, have a beverage, try and relax myself, because I'm very nervous and I've got to get up very early, so I stay for a drink and then go home. So I think, no, it's fine, what will be will be. I will see when I get to the airport what happens. So 7 a.m. in the car, driving to Heathrow Airport, and every now and then very rarely I experience a little bit of car sickness, and it's that kind of hot, flustered feeling where you're just like, I'm going to throw up. I'm going to throw up. And I did. I'm sorry to tell you guys, but this is the whole experience that you're listening to. And I was a little bit sick. However, silently, it is a skill I have acquired somehow, and no one really knew about it. It was excellent. So I got to Heathrow with with a bag of sick. I'm sorry to tell you, and thus the disgustingness will go on, because I'm going to do a different video in response to Blue Table Painting's food poisoning story from Sean. So you're going to hear some really gross tales. However, so I was a bit ill the morning of my flight. I think nerves and car sickness and heat, and knowing that I'm going to be going somewhere by myself, it's scary, it is. So please excuse that horrible part of the story. It does get better. So I'm at Heathrow Airport, and I say goodbye to my friends, and I'm like, thanks for giving me a lift, guys, I'm going to see you later on, and I'll let you know when I land. So I'm worried, and I check in, and you do the queue, and it's long, isn't it? Like, it's a long queue. So I'm standing behind like a couple of people, and it takes actually a matter of minutes, and then I've checked in my bag, and I've got my boarding pass, and I go upstairs to security. That's fine, I'm through, I'm airside, and then I'm like, I arrived 4 hours early. What do I do now? So I wander around, and I'm having a look in like Boots and stuff like that, and then I grab myself some food, because I'm feeling a little bit better now. I'm relaxed, I'm through security, my bag is checked. Actually, I'm on my way to America, so it's all fine. I'm fine, A-okay. And I'm sitting there eating some sushi, like Boots sushi. It's not the best sushi, I'll give you that, but I thought something light. And then someone walks past me that I kind of double take, and I'm like, I know that face. And then I realise it's Peter Serafinowicz, who, if you don't know, is the voice of Darth Maul and has been in a lot of comedy shows. And I actually parodied in my combat resolution video a show of his called Look Around You, that's basically a spoof 70s science show where they pretend to do like this almost Blue Peter-esque like informative show, but it's just nonsense mostly.
Question 3. Centurion charge in the front, while Morgan charges in the flank. Many lives are lost. Many, many lives. In the combat, the Treekin took 5 wounds and Morgan took 4. In millimeters, how tall is Morgan Freeman?
And so he goes into Dixon's, the electronics store, and I'm like, do I go up to him and say hello? I will regret this if I don't. So I'm already like, I know this guy. I love this guy. The comedy. I quote Brian Butterfield constantly. So I'm like, no, let's go, let's do it. So I go up to this man who is like really, really tall, and I'm like, are you Peter Serafinowicz? And he's like, yes, I am. And I'm like, I love you. And then it gets like weird. Like, who says that? Who says that? I say that. And I'm just like, I love this. I love like all of the stuff that you've done before. And I then think of all the cool stuff I could have said, like the combat resolution video, like all of the shows he's done. Like, I loved his wife in Smack the Pony, which is also like an old late 90s comedy show, that like a female sketch show that was actually pretty funny. Yeah, loads of cool stuff, but no, I'm kind of like, meh. So I'm just like, where are you heading off to? And he's like, I'm just going to LA, I've got a comedy festival in Portland. And I'm like, oh, cool. He says, where are you going? I'm like, I'm going to Chicago to do a Warhammer convention. And then I realised how weird that sounds. And he's like, all right, I know a guy who's into tabletop gaming. And that immediately is like, okay. I said, I'm doing some videos about it. I do videos on YouTube. I'm like one of the few girls that is kind of into it and does videos on it. And he's like, so you're kind of a big deal. And then I start, you know, chuckling, and I'm like, oh, I'll leave you to it. Like, thanks, you made my day. So I met Peter Serafinowicz in a Dixon's in Heathrow Airport on a Thursday morning. And I didn't get any photo evidence, purely because I thought I was weird enough already to then be like, can we have a photo, in the tiny shop that was like the Dixon's. But that was really weird and awesome, and I sent him a tweet and I was like, thank you for making my day, that was really nice. And yeah, then spent the rest of the time in the airport thinking of all of the cooler things I could have said. So yeah, I got on the flight, it was relatively easy, it took 9 hours, and with all of the weather concerns, I was actually pleasantly surprised we arrived exactly when we meant to. A wizard is never late. And yeah, I was just like, oh, cool. So I had some sleep, not much, and so like when I first got on the plane, I was sat next to this woman who we were like only in the 2 seats. There's like 5 in the middle and 2 the other side. And we were far enough back, there was only 3 seats in the middle. So I sat next to her and I was like, you alright? And she was American, and for the first half hour she was faffing around with her TV because it wasn't working at all, and she was in the window seat, which I wanted. And so yeah, she was like, when we took off and everything, like, oh, I really want to find another seat because my TV's not working. So when the guys came around to ask for drinks, she inquired about it, and she was just like, oh, I have a wine. And I was like, a wine? Okay. 2 wines. So yeah, we had some wines which I guess like they're like tiny bottles, just like a glass worth, but it made me feel all fancy, like I was on an official trip. So halfway through she moved, so I alternated between seats to either watch The Hobbit and This Is 40, have a sleep, and then the other one, like, and then play Tetris at the end, which I got quite a high level, I should say. So yeah, the flight was fine, fairly uneventful, although the turbulence was kind of horrendous because the winds were so bad. You have to go from London all the way up underneath Iceland, and then and Greenland, down through Canada and Quebec, and then, you know, down to Chicago. So it's not like a direct link. You have to kind of go down. You're going against the wind, so it takes longer to get to Chicago than it does to get back to London. So we arrived, it was about 4 p.m. in the afternoon in America, but obviously like 10 in English time, so I'm tired by this point. I've had a couple of hours sleep. So we get off the plane, and I'm like, do I go to the loo, or do I queue up for the immigration customs thing and get that sorted? And I'm like, no, I'll be there for a little while, just go to the loo, which is a mistake. Why did I say this to myself? Because when I got there, 4 other planes, or I think 3 other planes, had got on, like, out and stood also in this immigration, of which they ask you questions like, have you brought seeds? No. Have you bought snails? Also no. Just really obscure questions, which I know are necessary, but it was just like, have I bought snails? No. So we ended up standing in this queue, and there were 3 British ladies behind me, like all by ourselves, and we got round this massive line to get diverted to a smaller but still massive line. So people 3 lines back from me who didn't get diverted to the other one had gone through already, and I'm standing there with this woman who definitely has some kind of halitosis or gum abscess issue, which is gross. And I was like, whenever she stood too close to me. And also I was like reading my book and stuff in the queue, and it took 2 hours to get through immigration. And I was just like, just let me in. I'll be good. I'll be quiet. I won't get drunk or cause mischief. I'll just be good. Just let me in. So I got there in the end, and I was just like having a bit of banter with the guy after so long of no human contact, it felt like. And yeah, so everything was fine, picked up my case, and there's Chung, from the WGConsortium waiting for me at the airport, so I'm like, I need to smoke. I really do. Not that I condone it, but after 9 hours, really did. Well, longer than that, like 10, almost 12 hours of being in the airport and travelling and stuff, and I had just, such a long day. So we pop outside quickly. I try and get hold of my parents to let them know that I'm safe and alive, and there's no tornadoes, in fact. But we have to go, we get in the car, there's Lester Bursley sitting there, so I say hello, we get in, and then we have to navigate around flooded road. Guess where this is, everyone? It might look like a standard road, but it isn't. This is a road in Chicago somewhere. And this is me, after being awake for 18 hours? Yeah. Behind me, where is he? That's Les. And that's Chung.
Hello, hello.
So I've been picked up at the airport and I've got stuff all over my face. Please excuse me. I don't really care right now. Tomorrow we're doing stuff. Today I'm doing nothing but finding beverages and food.
We're not doing much in tomorrow either. Just hanging out at the booth and do whatever you want.
Hanging out. I'm doing nothing either. Catching up. I'm so
Shit,
tired.
on my camera.
I'm so tired.
No, you have
Look at my eyes.
I could try and no.
So we take a bit of a random route to obviously avoid the shut roads, which is all fine. So, you know, we park up, we get into the airport, into the hotel, which is the Westin Lombard in Chicago, in Lombard, in Illinois. And then we go, we like check in, get our rooms. And so we all go upstairs, me, Les, Chung, and Miranda's not there yet. But I check the room and I'm like, there's only one bed in here. Is this on purpose? It's like, oh no, they made a mistake. So we tried to change it. They didn't have any spare beds because the whole place is booked out. So we swap rooms. So me and Miranda have like have a bed each. We pop into a Target, which is the equivalent of like a Wilkinson's and an Asda if you're English, which pretty much does everything from like decoration, makeup supplies, food, everything, clothes, DVDs, TVs, everything. So I was just like, what is this place? It's massive. Pick up some stuff in there, and then there's Miranda. So I'm like, oh hey, it's great to meet you. We have a bit of an introduction. Take the stuff upstairs. I take my shampoo and whatever I bought in there up into the hotel room, and then we all go and have some dinner.
We have Joey, Miranda.
We were always sharing a bed. And we go down to the Harry Carries. I think that's how it's meant to be said, but in America it was like Harry Carries. So I just called it Harry Carries. It felt wrong at the time and now, but what can you do? Harry Carry? Everyone's like, the where? So we all sit in there. There's like me, Chung, Celso, and then and Jay, who's from Chicago. So he's like, oh, this place is renowned for its chicken Vesuvio, and I was like, what is that? And it's just basically like 2 chicken breasts laid on some like big chunky, I'd say like proper chunky chips, but they're like huge, almost like a wedge of potato, and then some like sauce and peas stashed around. And it was really nice, and it was kind of needed, especially after the weird lasagna I had on the plane and just the weirdest breakfast. So yeah, it was really good. And then me and Miranda go upstairs. I'm like, oh, I'm really knackered. It's about 4 a.m. for me, I think, English time. So I'm shattered. And so we go upstairs. We have a little bit of a chat. And yeah, we're just talking like films and sci-fi and gaming. And it's the ungirliest thing ever. But Miranda brought me a present. She got me this. So I was like, oh, I feel terrible that I've not got her anything, but I then make it my mission for the rest of the weekend to find her something that she might like. And Miranda is not really girly. I don't think if I were like, here's some lip gloss, she'd be like, okay. So I was like, let's try and get to know Miranda a bit better and see what she might like. And she's like very, very like good at War Machine, and very knowledgeable, and she's just really into it. So I was like, well, maybe I can get her into Malifaux and see how she finds that, and that's kind of like my initial plan for the weekend. So yeah, that is pretty much my Friday night and the travel journey in its entirety, the Thursday, sorry. So next video, which will be either today or tomorrow that I get uploaded, is Friday, which is my relaxation day and wandering around and meeting people. And I meet a lot of people and have some pretty peculiar tales. Now also in tomorrow's video, I'll say tomorrow just to be safe, in tomorrow's video I have a meal with Blue Table Painting, of which we have a food poisoning off story, of which I will tell my story in that and post it also as a response video to his one about his issues. So you can have a look, and it's a competition to see whose is grosser, but needless to say, at the time we're all pretty grossed out by it. So there we go, that's my journey so far. Day/night one, the majority of it being on my own, but I think it's safe to say that it's been pretty peculiar so far. Stay tuned for tomorrow. I'm going to make a whole playlist out of this, so there's only going to be 4 videos, maybe an extra 1 or 2 here and there, with lots of pictures included. But yeah, let me know what you think was either the funnest or the grossest thing about that story. There's probably a few, so my deepest apologies, but I'm going to give you the full story. Bye!